Hey everybody, thank you for joining us for today's webinar. Let's go ahead and kick this thing off. I see Scott and Myrella are in the house, but Hamilton as well. Today we have an awesome webinar for everybody who's tuning in today. Today it's all about Zoom Rooms in action. We're going to see it live. So we're talking about must-have hardware for hybrid work. My name is Jackson Root, Senior Marketing Manager at DTEN, and I'm joined today by Scott Krueckeberg, Head of Strategic Alliances, and Myrella Heimbuck. They're at Zoom HQ right now. You see him on the Zoom Experience tour feed. And Hamilton Gordon, also from Zoom, is with us this morning. Him and I will be tackling some of the Q&A behind the scenes, doing some of the back-end stuff while we go through the Zoom tour here today. So today we're going to talk about a number of super cool use cases. You're going to see it live at Zoom HQ. We're going to be talking about virtual receptionists. We're going to talk about workspace reservations. We're going to be talking about the personal work desk, hot desk, the new huddle room, some of the new things you're going to see there. Some of the new things you're going to see next week at Zoomtopia as well. We're going to talk about companion Zoom rooms. We're going to talk about Zoom Contact Center. We're going to jump into some training rooms with the D7X and the new companion Zoom Rooms feature. You're going to see that super cool. And of course, Q&A throughout. So before I hand it off to Scott and Myrella at Zoom HQ, I just want to put another plug out there for Q&A. Please use Q&A. This is a great way for you to engage with us. We're going to be going through a lot of stuff very quickly, and Q&A is a great way to indicate to us that maybe we're moving through some things a little bit too quickly. Maybe we need to spend a little bit more time on something. So if you have any questions at all, please use that. It's a tool for you to engage directly with us. And with that, I'm going to hand it off to Scott and Myrella at Zoom HQ. Why don't you guys take it away?
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Jackson, and welcome everyone to the San Jose headquarters, where we're going to be showing you the art of the possible with Zoom Rooms and DTEN. My name is Myrella, and with me we've got...
Hey, I'm Scott Krueckeberg. I head the Strategic Alliances at DTEN.
And we are your co-hosts today, so welcome. We are going to go ahead and get started with our tour right out of the gate in our main lobby of HQ here in San Jose. And the very first thing that Zoomies see and witness is the Zoom room running on a kiosk mode on a D10 Me. This is incredibly a powerful solution for that hybrid model where you are trying to support in-person and getting that face-to-face interaction where people are actually remote working from anywhere in the world. Super simple plug and play and very easy to self-navigate on the screen. This is leveraging one single Zoom Room license, and you have the option to have virtual receptionist, which is the orange icon, and workspace reservations, the blue icon. As an end user, I just simply come to the screen and I select perhaps the virtual receptionist. It prompts next on the screen up to 6 fully customizable options for you to allow users to be face-to-face interacting with a matter expert, such as IT concierge. Imagine people are coming back into the office for the first time in some time. They cannot get on to the Wi-Fi. Not very productive if you can't get onto the secure Wi-Fi in your organization. And with just one click, they can be speaking face-to-face with IT concierge. Same goes for security, perhaps catering, and in our case, we're going to show you how simple it is for us to reach out to our receptionist today. One click and we're connected.
Hello there. How can I help?
Hi, we're here for a tour with DTEN. Can we get started?
Yeah, of course. Thanks for checking in. You're all set.
Thank you so much. Now, Scott, I have to say, from a actual hardware perspective, I'm in love with the D10 Me and just how compact and simple it is to plug and play and use in just a matter of moments.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, D10, we are Zoom Rooms for Touch brand, right? And the great thing about the D10 Me is it was actually born during the pandemic for Zoom for Home. So it was everything you needed in the conference room at the office, packed into a single device that you could place on your desk. So we have a 27-inch touchscreen, we have a digital microphone array, 4K camera, the speakers, the compute, everything is packed here as a true all-in-one for your desktop. So since you know, the pandemic ended and people started returning back to the office, we've really found some great places and use cases for the 27-inch D10 Me Pro. Obviously as a kiosk, so you can walk in, choose virtual receptionist. It's a fantastic hot desk. but also still true to that personal device. Everything you need conveniently packed right here in an all-in-one package.
Absolutely. Now, not only do you have the option to have the DTEN Me, very cost-effective solution, you also have the option to do a larger format. This is 55-inch. Now here what you've got with Zoom Rooms is the ability to support virtual receptionists and workspace reservations. They can be alongside each other as you see here, or you can have them stand alone. It could perhaps very well just be workspace reservation. As a natural next flow for us here at Zoom, we speak to a receptionist, and next what we have is, where are we going to collaborate for the day? You actually have the ability to fully deploy workspace reservations. It's inclusive, meaning it's included with your Zoom Room subscription, but you can also have it as a standalone product that supports other spaces such as a wellness room. In this case here, I don't know, Scott, I feel like letting you do the webinar for the rest of the day and chilling in the massage chair room, but actually I'm gonna, let's say, just reserve for 1 hour. I can do that very easily through the prompts on the screen. Completely capacitive touch support here. Not only do I have the ability to support wellness room, phone booths, hot desking, hoteling, but even the conference room, all supported within the Zoom Room itself. You upload your images, you upload your JPEG format for your floor plan, simple drag and drop of the resources onto this map, and now you have this accessible workspace reservations on your mobile device, on the go, working from home, on the client, on the portal, here on the kiosk as well. As you can see, I have the ability to book any space directly from here. From a hot desk and hoteling perspective, all I need to do is select the space that I want to book. In this case, I want to book a desk right alongside Ed today. And if I want to book, again, very simple, just drag and drop the duration of that time. The next prompt here is a QR code. It does not get any easier than that, to be honest with you, I don't think, right? So QR code, all I need to do, just to back up here, Ed, for a second, I'm gonna show you, I'm leveraging the Zoom client. On the Zoom client, I have the option to scan that QR code and make that reservations. Notice there were absolutely no credentials needed on the kiosk itself. It was all done through the authentication process on my client, on my mobile device. Makes it very simple, and not to mention from the hardware perspective, this is very simple to deploy, Scott.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that's why, you know, our relationship has worked so well over the years. It's simplicity, it's flexibility, it's value. So, you know, the D7 is super versatile machine, especially having that Zoom Rooms for Touch experience. So it doesn't get any more simple than walking into a lobby, selecting the space you're going to work for that day, and then we can move over to the DTEN Me Pro again and show how that hot desk interacts once you get to your workstation.
Absolutely. Now, I would like to add, as far as our workspace reservation solution is concerned, it is inclusive with reservations questionnaire, check-in questionnaire. You can also find other floors, such as maybe you want to find a room on the 3rd floor, 4th floor. You can actually select that. You also can consider the option where you can pull in dashboards through that reservation questionnaire, check-in questionnaire. Maybe you want to gather information about who's coming into the office, and if they need catering, you can gather that information and plan accordingly. We also support neighborhoods. If you want to have only salespeople sitting in a particular selection of your floor, you can have that. We've even seen customers getting very creative and supporting the reservations of lockers and equipment. So that's all supported within Workspace Reservation. It does integrate with Office 365, Exchange, and Google Calendar. Makes it very, very user-friendly. And as I mentioned before, it's also accessible right within my client itself. So on the go, I have the option to make all of these reservations on my mobile device. I can see who's in the office. I can also filter based on asset preferences directly from my mobile device. Wow, that was quite a mouthful, you know, Scott, and I must say, in the end of this, you'll notice the user interface is very similar, and it does give you that simplicity, predictability. that you are accustomed to from working from home right into these physical spaces. I will pause there just to check in. Jackson, Hamilton, have we had any questions pop up in reference to workspace reservations or virtual receptionists?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks. Oh, sorry.
Ham, take it away. I know you've been doing a Q&A a little bit more than I have.
No worries. Yeah, so I think thank you for giving us that platform, Myrella. I'm seeing a lot of questions around how the calendars work for these different spaces. And a lot of questions specifically, does this work externally with Outlook or O365? Sure does. We have 3 ways you can hold a calendar. So could be O365 or Exchange if we're doing on-prem. We also can support Google Workspace if you're a Google client, but we also can hold calendars internally to Zoom itself if you don't want to do any external configuration. So the option is yours, but yes, we have that parity. So if you do go into Outlook, you do go into Google Calendar and you want to book Conference Room B, when you book Conference Room B, it'll show up right here on that map. So great questions, everyone. Thank you for those questions and keep them coming, and we'll do our best to answer all of them.
Thank you, Hamilton. Now, what I'm going to showcase next is how we're completely transforming the experience at the desk. You saw how simple it was for me to make the reservation on the kiosk. Now here, what happens at the desk is quite remarkable. You see here, we've got another DTEN Me, Scott, and on the screen, this is the user interface that I'm familiar with, right? It's Zoom. I've got the QR code present on the screen, and once again, I'm going to leverage my Zoom client, scan that QR code for simple check-in. That's all I need to do. The authentication process is happening. What we have next on the screen, it's asking me to set up a PIN code. This is to protect the screen in case I need to walk away to grab some water, because indeed this is going to be my profile. In my case, I'm going to set up later, but if I needed to protect the screen to grab some water, I can do so, because in reality, this is now logged in with my Zoom client.
Yeah, absolutely. And the great thing about that personal experience by logging in this way is you still have access to all the great Zoom Room features, right? You can have your personal whiteboard on there, right? You can annotate over content. You still have all the meeting controls that you get with a traditional Zoom Room. The great thing about the Me being a 27-inch, it is suited to be a personal device. So we run virtual backgrounds even in a Zoom Room environment for a single person. So that's why it's perfect for a single desk, an executive office, right? There's a lot of use cases that make it very personal. And like you said, your meetings for the day are already in there. Your contacts for the day, they're already preloaded through the QR code sign-in.
And I would like to add, Scott, that the actual ability to support virtual background, which is unique to DTEN Me here, is very powerful. So imagine you're an executive and you have this solution here at your desk. You can have that protection of the virtual background, ensuring that if you have any distractions that comes in during your meetings, that's not being showcased, right, in your actual meetings. Another functionality that I like here, and I just have to add, is at any moment in time, if I need to just have a regular monitor, I have that option to switch over, which is pretty cool. Just adding that additional capability to protect your investment and ensure that you get to work in the rhythm and the beat that you're accustomed to working. Now, all of this, Hamilton mentioned, does integrate natively with Office 365, Exchange, and Google Calendar. We also have room scheduling that can light up your hallways, alerting your end users if the rooms are occupied or if they're free. And you also have the ability to book directly from the room scheduling device. All right. So let's go ahead and come into this collaborative space. This is our huddle room. Here we're going to show you how we are bringing added value in even your small spaces. So video conferencing now, because the cost has been greatly reduced, it's now scalable to even smaller huddle room space, such as this one that you see here. This is absolutely an amazing tool for you to have a DTEN completely capacitive touch screen, support Zoom for touch in the Zoom room. We have the value of completely eliminating additional installations such as the cornering of the floor to put a speakerphone that resides in the middle of the conference room table, or even a controller. This room can completely be clutter-free, eliminating even the need of
I don't catch cables anymore. Who needs them?
No, we don't need it in our Zoom rooms because the Zoom room is reliable enough to even be able to share content fully wirelessly. Such as here, you'll notice that Scott and I are not in a Zoom meeting, but we still have the ability to share content fully wirelessly. And this does support full media, audio and video projection into the Zoom room itself. And I would say that DTEN is unique in that it does support Zoom for Touch here, enabling me to annotate on top of this content. So as you see here, I have the ability to change in colors. I can activate Smart Shape. All of this accessible right here on the screen just makes it very nice and simple. At the end of this information is not lost. I actually have the ability to chat whatever I did in reference to annotation, etc., on the screen directly to myself. And because we're part of this one single ecosystem, in just a matter of moments, I have that content available to me on my Zoom chat right here, ready to be demonstrated and shared with any additional collaborators if needed.
Very cool stuff, you know? And obviously this is one of my favorite rooms, right? Because we can show the entire feature set of Zoom Rooms in a single all-in-one device. This is the D7X. It's our 3rd generation Zoom Rooms for Touch device. So we've been learning for the last 5 years how to optimize the hardware for a full Zoom Room experience. So with the D7X, like she said, Zoom Rooms is in here. We can push digital signage. We can run advanced whiteboard. More about this, the digital microphone array at the top doesn't require extra mics, extra speakers in the room. The audio can be completely handled here by our D7X, 4K camera in here. Another great thing is the direct guest join, right? So just a versatile machine that allows you to join a Teams, a WebEx meeting. We also have our Smart Connect BYOD, so similar to the personal device, right? If you do want to run Zoom client from your laptop, even a mobile phone, it's super easy to connect wirelessly, control the device with the Zoom Room controller. So everything that you can possibly get your hands on with a Zoom Room license, we can deploy with the D7X.
Absolutely, and I like what you said, right? The consolidation. I mean, we're doing so much consolidation here that it can even completely remove a conference phone that would otherwise reside in the middle of the conference room table. Yeah. By simply enabling Zoom phone in your Zoom room, you have the option to dial in and receive phone calls as well too. Not only that, again, back to the collaboration. I have the ability to access whiteboards. Not only can I start a fresh one, but I can even pair my device with the room and upload any of my whiteboards that I have on my client right into the room itself. So here you'll notice that I can change between the different options. I have a pen, so I can change colors. I can have sticky notes. Our whiteboards are an infinite canvas, a perpetual space that you can revisit from your home office, on your mobile device, included here in the Zoom room itself. Now, you can save this whiteboard, this collaboration, because Scott and I are not even in a meeting yet. We have all these tools available for us. We can discard it in case we don't need it, but if we want to save it, just know our part of that ecosystem is that you can leverage these tools available to you and are out of the Zoom meeting. All right, so another functionality here is we do have integration, as Hamilton mentioned, with Office 365, Exchange, and Google Calendar. As such, we get a one-click to join option right on the Zoom room itself. I can select that, but it also does support voice commands, so I can simply say, "Hello Zoom, join meeting."
Do you want to join the meeting?
Yes.
Starting the meeting. Record.
So now you're actually hearing both and seeing both myself and Scott here in this room. And as far as sharing content is concerned in the meeting itself, you will see very simple, just leverage the tools that you're already familiar with, right? So on the home screen, share screen, and here we are. In just a matter of moments, not only can I annotate on this, but Hamilton and Jackson can too. We're bringing that collaboration and continuity across the board in or out of the Zoom meeting.
Exactly, and that's what's great about the D7X and Zoom Rooms for Touch is, there's a lot of conversation lately around meeting equity, right? But the newest trend is collaboration equity, and that allows, everyone in the meeting to collaborate equally, right? To have their thoughts, their ideas shared, to be able to annotate over the content. So it brings an extra level to that integration, right, in the remote meeting experience. So one thing we can do is obviously run a smart gallery from this device. So the single 4K camera will be able to pick up everyone in the room, put them in their own frame. You have auto framing, right? It can follow us around individually. So it's a super versatile machine that will give you that full feature set of Zoom Rooms like we were talking about.
Absolutely. And just for reference, this room is 14 by 14. Right, and so here, completely clutter-free. So if that's something that you're trying to consider, that's the beautiful thing about the D10, D7. It's completely consolidated. I can speak from experience. I actually been able to debox and get it completely up and running, installed in 30 minutes.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
From box to meeting in 30 minutes.
Yeah, and joining a Teams meeting, which was pretty cool on top of that, which, I mean, that's how far along we've come. So let's continue with this tour, and we can show you perhaps even how we can join a Zoom Rooms into a Teams meeting. And meanwhile, Ham, Jackson, anything else you'd like to add?
Sure. So a lot of great questions. Some of the questions so far are about licensing. So we'll answer that live. So it does take a Zoom Room license to enable a kiosk, but you can run both modes on a single kiosk with one license, or just one or just the other. So if you think of it, we're just enabling the device itself with a license wherever you need that. Other questions, great questions around sharing if you're doing a presentation. So Zoom has windowed sharing. So for me, if I'm doing a slides presentation, PowerPoint presentation, I can see my presenter notes. Well, I'm only presenting the windowed version of what I want to show from presentation view on the screen. We also have configurability around if you have 2 screens or 3 screens in a room, what you want to show up where. So lots and lots of options for you to customize and figure out how you want to use a room yourself. You're not stuck in one way of doing things. Zoom gives you tons of options. Out of the box, though, most of it just works. So how you would expect it to.
I love that comment. It just works. Not only does it just works, but it even works if a Zoom room is invited to a Teams meeting. Now, those are going to be the instances perhaps you've been invited to a Teams meeting. You were not the main organizer of that meeting, but you're not stuck. Your investment is protected. So here what we've got is a Microsoft Teams client, and it's going to join this meeting. Meanwhile, we've got the Zoom Rooms was invited to this meeting, right? So what you can see here on the Zoom Room itself, you have the option to one-click to join. The end user does not need to learn anything new at all in this process. You'll notice that the Teams logo prompts, and now in just a matter of moments, voila. Right, very simple. It just works, Ham. Well, another thing, anything to add in this space? I mean, one thing that I will say, Scott, that I've noticed with these all-in-ones, even on a mobile cart that you see here, it just makes so much more versatile and flexible, and the audio quality is amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. So one interesting thing about the D10 devices, right? These individual digital microphones, they each have their own channel in the Zoom Room software. So we're working together to optimize the audio. We're running automatic gain control, right? We're reducing noise. So there's a lot of things we do together to optimize that experience, so you don't need all the extra AV in the room. And new feature we're going to be releasing soon will be more around the audio boundaries. So in these flexible spaces, people have open spaces, right? All these new things that they're creating in the office. we'll be able to target that audio range too in the D7 series and bring a very unique experience to the customer.
Now, I'll also add that in the Me series, I noticed that you can even direct the subject so you don't have that continuous distraction of people walking around.
So on the Me device, right, they're probably the most used in open spaces. People want a lot of devices that they can put, like in this scenario where you have mini desks in kind of the bullpen situation. So what we do there is run our video boundaries. So that'll let you kind of set the width of what you want to pick up. So when you do turn on automatic framing or smart gallery, it's going to remove those participants that are not actually on the call.
I mean, that's absolutely phenomenal. Absolutely amazing. The amount of value that you get with the Zoom Rooms, including digital signage. As we walk here, you see that there's displays around us that supports digital signage, right? And digital signage is inclusive as part of our Zoom Room your Zoom Room subscription. It's to scale. One single Zoom Room license and you can deploy an infinite amount of digital signage across the organization. You can have content that you upload and you manage all from one single point of view contact in the dashboard. You can also integrate it with Zoom Phone for E911 procedure and protocol, alerting anyone that's in your building and in a Zoom call, perhaps in the Zoom room, that there is an evacuation notice in order, for instance. You can also enable the wireless content sharing that you can now leverage these spaces for collaboration purposes in open areas. You can even stream Zoom meetings to digital signage. So it's quite remarkable, and it's one single Zoom Room license, and you can deploy as much digital signage across organization as you wish. You can have it just playing in your Zoom Rooms when it's on idle, how to slides perhaps, maybe people are not as familiar as to how to use a Zoom Room, you can have that enabled in your spaces.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, this room looks an awful lot like a classroom, right? And that's why I think one of our strongest customer base is in higher ed, in education, just because of all the versatile things you can bring on a single device. So we know whiteboarding is super important, right, to education, but also, like you said, to display company messaging, right, updates, and then that E911 is really important to those customers. So I think we can dive in here to our 75-inch. So this is the D7X as well. It's a 75-inch all-in-one. What we also deploy on here is our View Pro camera set. So what this allows you to do is extend that single 4K camera into 5 cameras. These cameras are super unique because they are near field, they're far field, they're angled to give you that coverage in a room this size. Bringing depth, bringing width, and being able to balance that in Smart Gallery is a really exceptional experience.
Absolutely. And historically, in these large rooms, you would really be kind of restricted to Pro AV setup, meaning you would have to install, in this case, I was a professional AV integrator myself. It was my job to come into these spaces and analyze it, make a bill of materials that would be suitable. I would easily have installed at least 6 ceiling microphones in here, about 10 perhaps speakers, depending on how much of the coverage I wanted to get on the back, and maybe even more so microphones than that, because I would have a few lapel microphones for the presenters, wireless handheld as an option as well. These rooms would easily cost anywhere from $50,000 to $100,000 with an entire AV credenza to support all of the different peripherals. Now it's been greatly scaled down, and we are now able to effectively get everything that we need from the D10, D7 75-inch, and we also have the option to extend the coverage with the Zoom supportive Zoom Room companion mode, which we're gonna go ahead and show you by joining the meeting from the Z10.
pretty amazing to see it from this view, just how quickly you can get up and running with the companion Zoom rooms. You see Scott standing in front of the D7X, and Myrella in front of the D7X75, which is going to host the meeting. And Scott can join from that secondary device.
Yes, and here, Jackson, what we have is the ability again for me to consolidate everything that I previously needed. No additional microphones in this room, right? So keep that in mind. I am walking around, navigating away from the microphone array, and I am baffled for the far end experience because again, there's no additional microphone coverage. In fact, I can be in any of these desks assisting any local participants without the need of wearing a lapel microphone. I'm at the podium, and actually this is positioned at about a 30-degree angle on purpose so that I can be able to support that hybrid interaction facing my local participants and virtually. And with all these additional support of the additional hardware, it does offer a really great experience on the far end. I also have the ability, Jackson, to have the option to have a document camera. So here what I've got is just this is actually a really old document camera. Beautiful thing about Zoom Rooms, we have the ability to support all kinds of different hardware that enhances the meeting experience. And we bring that user interface that we're so familiar with to the end user, removing that complexity and the anxiety about using these large spaces, right? So here you'll notice, Scott, the content you're able to see from any of these seats through the Zoom Room companion mode, right? So you've got the onboard, you've got the additional camera there with the D1055. This is really cool.
Yeah, and it just really makes a full kind of coverage, right, for even a remote participant too. So they get to see what you're sharing, they get to hear you clearly, they get a shot of the entire room. So it just creates that overall feeling of actually being there present.
I'd like to just fulfill that a little bit more, is that what you're seeing here, if you can see the view that's on the tripod camera, is the document camera image is being shown on the main Zoom room, the companion Zoom room, and the companion whiteboard without the need for a physical connection of any HDMI cables connected to the other devices. These displays are only connected to internet.
Absolutely, and that's super unique to Zoom Rooms, right? Being able to use that local network to pair all your devices, your mobile, your Zoom Room controllers, your companion devices, they're all working wirelessly in the room.
It's pretty cool. Now, Scott, just for kicks, what's going to happen once I click the whiteboard? This is pretty awesome. To Ed's point, so we do support the whiteboard companion mode, but because we've got all of these capacitive touch screens in the Zoom Room, and by the way, this is just leveraging how many Zoom Room license, Ed?
One Zoom Room license. So
One Zoom Room license.
yes, the companion Zoom Room is using the same activation code as the main Zoom Room, and the companion whiteboard is also using the same activation code as the main Zoom Room. So one license, 3 devices.
Yep, and you'll also notice that the interaction here is bidirectional. So I can actually play tic-tac-toe with Scott and anybody else who's here, really, again, enhancing the participation in these classroom brainstorming, etc. And again, our whiteboards are an infinite canvas, a perpetual space that you can use from home, here in the Zoom Room, anywhere where your internet and Zoom client can reach.
I think what's great here is you guys are, presenting kind of the evolution of DTEN and Zoom Rooms together, right? We have just the companion whiteboard here, our DTEN onboard. So we developed this for rooms that might have existing AV, right? You could have invested in a bar already. You might have displays that do not have touch. So what we invented was the onboard that you could roll into a cart, pair over the network using that same Zoom Room license, and be able to annotate over content and use the whiteboard features. Now we rolled in our D7X as a 55-inch device, and that's going to give you the AV bar. So what that's going to do is give you access to that camera, so you have another shot of the room inside the meeting. All these things work together, right, to create an entire fleet of products to bring the best meeting experience for hybrid.
Guys, if I may interrupt, Terry has some great questions online here that would love to address for everyone. So the first question is, does D10 have anything to extend microphone coverage kind of past that distance? Is there anything in the works there, or what would be your best suggestion there? And this follow-up to that is, with companion rooms, how far away can they be? Do they have to be in the same room or just on the same network?
Absolutely. So for your first question, what's also unique to DTEN is we have our devices on 2 different operating systems. Not only do we have the Android-based appliances for Zoom Rooms, what you're actually seeing in the room are Windows-based devices. So when you do have Windows and Zoom Rooms for touch on Windows, it does give you that additional I/O. So you can run USB peripherals into it. You can set up networking microphones. These things completely integrate into the AV that's existing, or you can design it from scratch.
And that second follow-up would just be with Companion, and I can answer this one. The great thing about Companion is it just has to be on the same network. It just has to be able to see the original Zoom room. So there really isn't a limitation on how far away you can put that. And often most of these devices, best practice is, of course, to run these fully wired. But most of these devices also have the wireless ability. So for these cards, if that's what you're considering, still is an onboard wireless card. So you should have some flexibility around where those go.
Yep, absolutely. And you know what we've seen, Hamilton, a couple times is, you want that full room experience, but say someone has an office or an executive office, right, in an adjoining room. They want to, maybe view the meeting, participate, but not necessarily be in the group. We've seen boards on carts rolled in multiple different facilities. But like you said, that local network, everything being online together, that single Zoom room license is going to help you deploy that. Absolutely.
Well, that pretty much concludes our in-person tour of the headquarters, a day in the life of a Zoomie here with D10. Jackson, anything else you'd like to share from your end?
Absolutely, yeah. And I want to say thanks again to everybody who's been submitting questions throughout this webinar, right? It's been some really amazing engagement. Hamilton's been all over them. I've answered quite a few myself. So thank you for that. What I want to do now is really invite everybody here to have a chance to take any of these solutions that you've seen today for a test drive. So all we need to know is a little bit more from you about what you're looking to do, about your organization's needs, and then you can select the solution that you want to try, and we'll ship it to you free. So that will give you the opportunity to really try it for yourself, because we know that right, we can talk about these solutions all day long, but really until you have it in front of you, until you get to actually touch the screen, go through the menus and launch that first meeting with true collaboration equity, inviting everybody into the call, sharing on the same digital canvas, it's a completely different experience. So there's a QR code that you're welcome to scan. It'll take you right to a webpage. We just need to know a little bit more information. Super easy. So Scott, did you want to talk a little bit about Engage program as well?
No, I think you did a great job covering it. I bet Myrella doesn't know that we launched Engage in 2019, and we've had over 500 logos take a D10 test drive and keep the device and deploy more Zoom Rooms.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's been an incredible program, but like Jackson was saying, it's Zoom Rooms for touch. It is that experience that you have to have in your own environment. You need to be touching. You have to have the BYOD, the annotation over content, running that smart gallery. Everything together just creates that 360-degree experience.
That's awesome. And Zoom Rooms gives you that user interface that you've grown to love over the years. Thank you so much, D10, for your generosity and for being with us here today and your partnership in ensuring that our customers have this amazing experience in all various room sizes and spaces. Thank you so much, everyone, for taking the time today. If you'd also like some more information, of course, here's a way to engage, but feel free to reach out to your Zoom account executive as well. Thank you.
Great.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everybody. And if we didn't get to your questions, we'll follow up with you after the webinar. So thanks a lot. Have a great day. And we'll see you in Zoomtopia or on the next webinar. Bye, everybody.